Right, it's time for a very big segment now where I'm getting tough. I'm getting tough on the couch today, asking the big questions. Today's a spotlight on insurance with my lovely guest here on the couch, Kaitie English. Check it out, stunning screen graphics there, my friend. Today we are going to open up the conversation. Have you ever wondered if insurance is a big scam? Is it worth it? Do you have the right insurance? Or are you bamboozled by too many options? That's basically what we're going to be talking about. Kia ora, Kaitie. Welcome to the couch.
Thank you.
Look, it's really good to have you here. Now, Kaitie is from VitalSure. If you want to find out more, you can head to her website, vitalsure.co.nz. There's a screenshot of her website right now, so you can check it out. Looking great there too. We are going to ask you the big questions now. First of all, tell me, Kaitie, what do you actually do?
That's a very hard question to answer. When I first meet people, I go to them mostly to talk about insurance. Yes. I'm a registered financial advisor, and that's primarily what I do. But I also talk about a myriad of other things. Mm-hmm. Their money-making machine, their family, do they have a will, have they got a trust? Are they in business?
Why do you go into all that detail with them?
Because it all reflects upon any kind of cover that we put in place. You can't just arbitrarily say, as a client once said to me, I want $1 million worth of life cover.
Yes.
The question behind that has got to be, why? And that's what I want to do, is to answer those questions. Why? Why do you need to have insurance? What is it going to do for you? And what is it there to do?
Gotcha. Okay. So I have to ask, I know you're in the industry, but I know I've had over my adult life probably 4 or 5 different insurance brokers over that time. I have never understood what they're talking about. I don't even know if I have the right cover, and I know there's a lot of people who have messaged me because I've put this topic out there for today saying, I'm just not happy about insurance, it's a big scam. How do you answer to that statement?
There are a lot of people who say to me, you're just going to try and sell me insurance. And doubtless there's a lot of people who think that. However, for me, it's about protecting who you are, what you have, mm-hmm. and what you want in your life. And making sure that for the future, if something goes wrong, it doesn't matter what it is, whether somebody has an accident, whether they get terminally ill, whether they get killed in an accident. Mm-hmm. The question for me is always, what do you want to happen? How can we best protect what you have, what you've worked hard for to this stage to acquire in your life? Whatever that might be. You might have a house, you might have investment property, you might be a businessman like Dino.
Yeah.
And none of us have got to where we are today by accident. We've worked hard to get there. So for me, it's important to protect that and to make sure in the protecting of that, it will work at time of claim.
Okay, so in a situation where somebody may be looking to get their first mortgage, mm-hmm. how important is having a bank's less likely to help you give you a mortgage if you don't have insurance in place?
A bank will want to have their borrowings to you protected.
Right.
And the way they do that is by saying, we want to have some life insurance on you and or your partner. And it's the same with a business. If a business has a loan, the bank is going to say, we want it secured and we want it protected.
Okay.
And so, yes, if you go to the bank and you say, I want a $450,000 mortgage, and they approve it,
yes,
then they're going to say to you, that's great. We want to protect what we've loaned you. And the way we do that is through life insurance.
Okay.
But it's not just about the mortgage. It's about things like lifestyle. How many kids have you got? How much do you earn?
How many? Yeah, of course.
What are you going to be doing in the future?
So it's all the needs on your money, on your source of money that needs to be protected, right? So kids, all your bills, any debts, outstanding debts, things like that. So you take all of that into account for insurance.
Yeah, I look at people's liability, their risk if something goes wrong, if they can't work any longer, or they can't work for a period of time, or they can never work again. We look at the risks to that family, or to that mm-hmm. person, or to the business that they may be running, and say, what are the risks? How big are they? And what do we need to protect?
Yes.
Not arbitrarily saying, well, you got a business, so you need to have this much.
Yes.
Or not saying, how much do you earn will protect what you earn, when there's a whole business that actually provides that earning. But it's actually looking at, if you like, how much money you make, what you're worth, what your value is to your family, and how we can protect all of that. Because if you've got here in your life, let's say you're 36, you've got a great career, you've been to university, you've got a great career, you've climbed the ladder, you're earning a reasonable salary, you've bought a house, you've got, a wife and kids at home, just paying off the mortgage is still leaving your family at risk.
Wow.
Nobody, if their partner gets really sick, from my experience, or gets killed in an accident, is going to go back to work in a week.
No, it's a really good point, actually. And if you're watching and you've just joined the stream, this is Kaitie English from VitalSure, and we're talking about putting a spotlight on insurance. Now, she's actually here to answer your questions as much as mine. So if you're not sure about your insurance, send in questions. I mean, one of the biggest questions that's come up through chats with people is, how do you even know if you've got the right insurance, or if a scamming insurance broker, and I have to say that, is trying to just upsell you so they can make more commission?
That's a really hard
It is a hard question.
Yeah. I don't want to belittle or condemn any of my colleagues in the industry.
Nicely handled. Yep.
That's right. However, it is important for anyone to ensure they have the right insurance for them that's going to work at claim time. Okay. Unfortunately, you need to get a broker to sit down with you and explain the ins and outs and what you've got, how it's going to work, and if it's going to work for you. And it's finding the insurance broker who's actually going to be able to answer those questions to your best advantage.
Thank you. That's really clarified that for me, because over the years, I've been told a whole lot of stuff that I actually haven't really quite understood.
It's important, Monique, that your broker goes through your insurances with you and explains what they are and what they'll do. And very often when you apply for an insurance and you go through that process of filling in the forms, then of course that will go to underwriting, medical questions are asked, etc. Then the insurance company will make an offer of insurance to you and say, Monique Bradley will offer you that insurance. There may be an exclusion because of this, or a loading because of that. There may not. It may just be purely at standard rates. Me personally, what I then do is sit down with you again, or my client, and say, okay, this is what we've applied for. If you look at the proposal that I've given you, you'll see what that's all for. Let's go through that again, because doubtless you will have forgotten. It can be a period of 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. Wow. I've had one application take 6 months before now.
Really?
Yeah, for various reasons. And it's to go through and to ensure that you completely understand what that insurance is, and you're happy with it, and that's what you still want for you and for your family or your business or whatever it might be. And then we tick the box, signed, accept, and we put the policy in place.
See, and that's so different. I don't know if you guys have ever done insurance over the phone or online. You can't get that same level of communication unless you go through a broker. And so when you're going through a broker, it's much more personalised to your unique situation. And obviously, if you're doing it over the phone, you're just telling the person on the phone what you think you need, but you may have no idea. Is that quite common?
The issue I see, and the problem I see with a lot of online kind of products, or you go and you buy insurance through. Now we've got people like the supermarket chains, Trade Me, and various people selling insurance. There's a couple of things that concerns me with that. Is A, do you really know what you need?
Yeah.
When you look at all the things that I've just mentioned, do you take those into consideration? But the bigger and the more important question is, what are the policy wordings? Where are the fish hooks?
Really?
How am I going to get caught out? And is, sort of the policy going to say in one of the clauses, 23.123, that if you don't declare this is what will happen, or we exclude this, or we're not going to pay under this condition? You're not going to know that. You're simply talking to somebody on the phone, or you're applying for a product online. How many people read terms and conditions? How many people will
good
read
point.
a 25-page policy document?
So is that why we hear these horror stories of people who go, well, I had insurance and when it came to claim time, I didn't get my claim. Is it chances are that situation may have happened?
90% of insurance claims that are not paid out will be because of non-disclosure of pre-existing conditions.
Well, so that's why people have that philosophy that they're being scammed by insurance potentially because they're not getting, and we only hear in the media about horror stories.
The biggest one I had a long chat with Leighton Smith on the radio once a couple of years ago.
Yes.
You'll remember the story about the man who went to Fiji. I think it was Fiji. Went to one of the islands and he got flesh-eating disease in the leg.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And he lost that leg.
Yeah.
And he had trauma insurance. He had that in place and he went to make a claim. And his claim was disallowed.
Why?
Because the policy wording says 2 legs or 1 leg and an arm or similar. So the policy wordings, it's a legal binding contract, dictate how that policy will get paid out. If I were to tell you that in an income protection disability policy, with the amount of companies there are in that you can actually buy from,
yes,
and the amount of different policies each company has, we've got something like 4,500 different policy wordings.
Oops, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm never doing my own insurance again.
Minefield.
Yes.
So you want to know the answers. You want to know, and not everything is going to be covered.
Yes.
But the things that are going to keep you off work, who are going to destroy your lifestyle,
yes,
or have potential to destroy your lifestyle, who are going to, the things that are going to keep you off work for a long time.
Right.
I have a friend in hospital. She's been there now for 3 months through lymphoma.
Oh, wow.
That destroys your lifestyle. Everybody, family, friends, everyone is affected by that. So how do we protect what you've built up? And how does that get covered with insurance? So it is knowing what kind of things are covered in your trauma. And trauma is about a critical illness like cancer, heart attack, stroke,
right,
multiple sclerosis, those kind of big ticket items.
Yes.
It's not going to be, I lost my toenail on my big toe. That's not going to be covered.
I dropped my phone down the toilet.
Not covered
Not
either.
covered, yeah. Though life-changing, just saying.
Yeah. So it's really important. All the different companies have different policies. They have different policy wordings. And it's really important that you work with somebody who knows what those are and can actually discuss that and work through that with you.
Right. So that would be the difference between going through a broker who can get you the best option from all of the companies rather than going directly to a company. Because if you go directly to one company, I won't mention any of the brand names, you can only deal with their policies, right?
Yep.
Whereas a broker will find you the best option across a broad range of options.
And 90% of people are going to say, I'm going to buy trauma insurance, and they won't, doing it that way, know what they're buying,
That is mind-blowing to me. Now, if you do have any questions, send them on through. I can see there's some people on the feed, but you are welcome. You are welcome to send your questions in, regardless of what channel you're watching on. It's lovely to have you guys with us. I do have a couple of other questions that have been sent to me through the week when people knew that we were doing this show today. What if I'm over the age of 50? Can I still get insurance?
Yes. You can pay more, but yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. What about, I know there's several of our viewers who have pre-existing health conditions. What is it a drama to get insurance?
It depends on how you define drama. What will happen is, whenever I speak to a new client, I ask them, are there any issues, medical history for you that could affect an application for insurance?
Right.
So they may say, I've got high blood pressure, or I'm diabetic, or I have asthma. So we're very clear to put this onto an application form and to make sure that we declare everything. And then what we do is we get the underwriters to look at the severity of that condition, and then they will make an assessment based on actuarial evidence.
Yes.
How common is that? What's the likely outcome of that, etc. And insurance brokers are great at statistics.
Cool.
Right. And so then what they'll do is say, we're prepared to offer you that insurance. We're going to either exclude that, because for example, you've had cancer in the last couple of years, we're going to exclude that. So that's a foregone conclusion just about.
Yeah.
Or they might say, you have high blood pressure, you haven't been controlling it very well in the last couple of years, so we're going to load your premium by X amount.
Okay.
So it's very rarely that a client will be deferred. And what deferred means is we're not offering you insurance at this time due to these medical conditions.
Right. Okay.
I don't see that very often, but we do. It is very common to have exclusions, and it could be an exclusion for you've had a surgery on a reconstruction of a shoulder in the last 18 months.
Yes.
So it could be an exclusion for a period of time. And if you have a good broker, a good advisor, they will be reviewing that with the insurance company on a regular basis. I
was going to say, most often, actually Rachel Thompson's just said really valuable info, Kaitie. People need to know the value of an advisor. I totally agree, especially as you're in the mortgage industry as well. They kind of work together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I was actually going to ask you, I have over the years had several different brokers, and I guess my reticence, if that's the right word, of working with a broker has been because they sign me up for something I don't understand, and then I never hear from them again. And then when it comes to claim time, because I have made a claim for my car before, I got told to ring up this phone number.
All too often, unfortunately, that happens. And that's one of the things that people complain to me about.
Right.
An insurance advisor, when they build a relationship with you, should know just about everything, including your inside leg measurement.
Okay, perfect.
Not literally.
No.
They should know as much as they need to know to make sure that you get your insurance at the best possible rate with the least amount of exclusions or loadings. They also need to know what it is you do and how you're going to, what happens if you need to make a claim.
Okay.
How it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
So an insurance advisor like me, I don't charge a fee. I get paid by the insurance company. I'm upfront about that, and I talk to my clients and say, you don't pay me a fee. I will be paid by the insurance company for the business that I put with them. Then, after 12 months, they'll pay me a renewal fee on a monthly basis.
Okay.
In my mind, and to me, my responsibility, because I am being paid for it, is to continue to look after you.
Wow.
I had an instance where a lady phoned me up and said, I want to make a claim.
Yes.
And it turned out she'd got Parkinson's disease. Now, this was a policy I actually bought because I bought a book of business in 2010.
Yeah.
So I hadn't put the policy in place. I didn't really know the lady very well. We'd had a couple of conversations and she'd said, no, I don't need a review. Turned out she had Parkinson's disease. Now, my job, because I was being paid renewals, I didn't get paid the upfront commission because she wasn't my original client, was to make sure that we got a claim put in and we got it paid in a meaningful amount of time.
Yes.
That was actually the one that took me 6 months to get through.
Wow.
Purely because we needed to do a lot of tests, medical things. And the insurance company, to be fair, were really supportive. They paid for those tests so that we could ensure whether or not she was actually going to get a claim paid.
Wow.
The severity of the illness,
yes,
matched with the policy wordings, would determine that. And we managed to get, quite interestingly, without any prompting, a letter from the neurologist,
yes,
who in his letter put a paragraph which actually word for word emulated what the insurance company had in their policy.
No way.
Yeah. And I had to giggle.
Yeah.
And sent it back in. I had a very good rapport. You see, what happens is you get one person in the claims department who will look after you and your claim.
Yes.
And that's the person I relate with and I work with. And I phoned her up and I said, you're going to love this. I'm going to email it to you now. And she came back to me and said, claim will be paid within 24 hours. And it was.
Oh,
but that took 6 months.
My goodness.
And it doesn't
so
always
you went in to fight for her.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm paid to do. You know, if somebody has, and the last thing you want, this is my sort of, if you like, bugbear with people like online providers and banks.
Yes.
Phone up and say, I need to make a claim. If you even have a number, and they'll simply say, here's your 0800 number, phone up.
Wow, yeah, which is what has happened to me.
Absolutely. Well, the problem with that is, if there's any kind of question mark around that claim, who's going to go into bat for you? Who's going to fight for you? Wow. That's my job. Because that's what I'm paid to do on those renewal commissions every month.
Wow, that is mind-blowing. And I have to say, I was always a bit of a fighter when it comes to insurance, but that's just really kind of changed my whole mindset. So I have to say thank you for that, because that's been really educational for me. Now, if you think you might be paying too much for your insurance, if you think you might have the wrong insurance, or you just want to ask a few questions, Kaitie is your go-to person. If she needs to get involved and has to go into fight for you, she will. All you need to do is head to her website. We'll show that again on screen here, vitalsure.co.nz. Now, when you actually subscribe to her mailing list, you actually get a free download. Now, this is a great download. It is actually loaded with the top questions. If you've already got insurance, these are questions you should be asking your insurance broker. And if you can't get the answers, you need to ask Kaitie. So head to her website, vitalsure.co.nz, to get all those details. Kaitie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here in the studio. It's been awesome.